The pediatrician's words still echo. Your son can't have type O blood if you're AB positive. That's when 20 years of lies began unraveling. I remember sitting in that sterile examination room, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, while Dr. Martinez checked my 8-year-old's throat for strep. Just routine stuff. Tommy squirmed on the paper-covered table, that crinkling sound filling the silence. The nurse had drawn blood earlier. Standard panel, nothing serious. I was scrolling through work emails when Dr. Martinez mentioned it casually, like commenting on the weather. Good news is no strep. By the way, did you know Tommy has type O blood? Interesting, considering you're AB positive. My thumb froze over my phone screen. The medical chart in her hand suddenly seemed to glow, those 3 letters, type O, burning into my vision. I knew enough from college biology. AB positive and A positive, Sarah's blood type, couldn't produce type O offspring. It was genetically impossible. You sure about that blood type? I heard myself asking. Dr. Martinez glanced at the chart again, then at her computer screen. Yes, definitely type O. We double-checked pediatric blood types. Why? The nurse looked up from her station. Other parents in the adjoining room quieted their conversations. Everyone suddenly seemed to be listening. No reason, just interesting. I pulled out my wallet, found my old Red Cross donor card tucked behind my driver's license. AB positive, it confirmed, the laminated edges worn from years of carrying it. The truth sat there between us, unspoken but deafening. That's when I remembered Sarah's emergency C-section paperwork. Tommy kicked his legs against the table. Can we get ice cream now, Dad? You promised. Sure, buddy, sure. But my mind was already racing backward through time, through memories I'd never questioned before. Sarah's business trip when Tommy would have been conceived. The conference in Chicago she couldn't miss. How tired she'd been when she returned. How Mike had helped with the nursery that same month, insisting on assembling the crib himself because I'd been working late on the Henderson account. If you've ever had that gut feeling something was wrong, you know how it sits in your stomach like a stone. The drive home took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of Tommy chattering about his friend's birthday party, about the new video game everyone was playing, while I gripped the steering wheel and watched my knuckles turn white. We stopped for ice cream as promised. Mint chocolate chip, his favorite. I watched him eat it, this boy I'd raised, taught to ride a bike, whose nightmares I'd chased away, this boy who might not be mine. At home, I went straight to the closet where we kept the photo albums. Sarah was at her book club. She'd been going religiously every Thursday for years. The old album from 2016 cracked when I opened it, photos slightly yellow at the edges. There, Sarah at her company conference, professional smile, name badge visible. Chicago Marriott, April 15th, 17. I remembered because I'd had food poisoning that weekend, Mike bringing me soup and keeping me company. Then I found the concert tickets tucked into the album's back pocket. Coldplay, United Center, Chicago, April 16th, 2016. Sarah's handwriting on the back. Amazing night. But these were in our album, our memories. Why would she save concert tickets from a work trip? Mike had the same concert stub in his office. I'd seen it last month when I helped him move his desk. Framed on his wall with other memorabilia, his college diploma, photos from our fishing trips, that concert ticket. Best night ever, he'd said when I asked about it. Wish you could have been there, but, work? My hands shook as I closed the album. The house felt different now, like every corner held a secret. 20 years of marriage. 20 years of friendship with Mike. Best man at my wedding. Godfather to my children. Uncle Mike, who never missed a birthday, who taught Tommy to throw a curveball, who carried Emma on his shoulders at the zoo. 3 kids, 3 blood types to check. The decision crystallized before I even fully thought it through. Online DNA testing. Discreet. Accurate. I opened my laptop, the screen's blue glow filling the dark study. Peace of mind, paternity testing. The website promised confidentiality, accuracy, results in 2 weeks. The order form asked for no names, just case numbers. Father 001, child A 002, child B 003, child C 004. My credit card trembled in my fingers as I entered the numbers. $4.99 for the complete panel. Express shipping added another $30. The confirmation email arrived instantly. Your testing kit will arrive in 2-3 business days. Sarah came home at 10, slightly flushed from wine and laughter. A good meeting? I asked. Great. We discussed the silent patient. You'd love it. Full of twists. She kissed my cheek, her lips warm, familiar. Kids asleep? Yeah. Tommy had ice cream after his appointment. How'd it go? Fine. Just strep check. Negative. She smiled, already heading upstairs. Coming to bed? In a minute. That's when I remembered the credit card statement would show the charge. I sat in the dark study for another hour, staring at the confirmation email. Delete Elliot, cancel the order, pretend I never heard what Dr. Martinez said. But the knowledge was there now, a splinter in my mind. Every photo on the wall, our wedding, kids' birthdays, family vacations, looked different. Every smile seemed to hide something. The FedEx package arrived 3 days later, plain brown box, no company name visible. I signed for it while Sarah made breakfast, the pen slippery in my sweating hand. What's that? She called from the kitchen. Work stuff, contracts. I hid it in my car trunk under the spare tire. That evening, after Sarah left for yoga, I told the kids we were playing a new game. Science experiment for Dad's work, I said, making it sound fun. The cotton swabs were soft, medical grade. Tommy complained it tickled. Emma, our meticulous middle child, wanted to swab herself. Little Katie, only 5, opened wide like at the dentist. Each swab went into its labeled tube. 02, 03, 04, then my own, 01. The collection felt surreal, like I was investigating strangers instead of my family. The kids went back to their cartoons, already forgetting our game. I packaged everything according to instructions. The FedEx envelope prepaid and addressed to a lab in North Carolina. The drop-off box was outside the grocery store. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, engine running, envelope in my lap. An elderly couple walked by, holding hands. A mother pushed a stroller, cooing at her baby. Normal families, untested families, families built on trust. I dropped the envelope in the slot. The metal door clanged shut. The results would arrive in 14 business days. Those 2 weeks stretched like pulled taffy. Every morning checking email before my eyes fully opened. Every conversation with Sarah feeling like performance art. Love you, she'd say, and I'd echo it back, the words tasting strange. Mike came over for Sunday football, same as always. We drank beer, yelled at bad calls, and he rough-housed with the kids during halftime. You're lucky, man, he said, Tommy on his shoulders. Beautiful family. Yeah, lucky. Sarah noticed my distraction by week 2. You okay? You seem off. Big project at work. Henderson's being difficult. She rubbed my shoulders, her wedding ring catching the light. You work too hard. Maybe we should plan a vacation. Just the 2 of us. After this project, I said. Day 12, day 13, day 14 arrived with spring rain, the kind that turns the world gray and muffled. I sat in my office parking lot at lunch, refreshing my email every 30 seconds. The subject line appeared at 12:47 p.m. Case 01 fast 0704. Results available. My finger hovered over it. Once I knew, I couldn't unknow. Maybe ignorance was better. Maybe... I clicked. The PDF loaded slowly, clinical fonts and medical terminology filling my screen. I scrolled past the disclaimers, the methodology explanation, to the results table. Test 010202, probability of paternity, 0.0%. The zero stared back at me. Not 5%, not 1%, not even 0.1%, absolute 0. Tommy wasn't mine. 8 years of Little League games, homework help, bedtime stories, and he wasn't mine. The rain drummed on my car roof while I sat there breathing manually, forcing each inhale and exhale. Then the email notification appeared. The second email had arrived while I was still processing the first. Same subject line format. I didn't need to open it to know. Emma. My careful, thoughtful Emma, who organized her bookshelf by color and insisted on making her bed with hospital corners. Test 00103, probability of paternity 0.0%. The third email was already there, waiting. Katie, my baby, the one who still crawled into our bed during thunderstorms, who called me Daddy-O and left sticky handprints on everything she touched. Test 001004, probability of paternity 0.0%, 3 zeros, 3 children. None of them mine. I sat in that parking lot for 2 hours. Henderson called twice. Sarah texted asking about dinner. The rain stopped, started again, stopped. A coworker knocked on my window to check if I was okay. I waved them off. The PDFs stayed open on my phone, those zeros burning into my retinas like staring at the sun. But there was one more test to run. That evening, Mike came over to return my drill. Sarah was at Katie's dance class. I made coffee while he talked about the Lakers game, his voice filling my kitchen the way it had for 20 years. When he went to the bathroom, I took his coffee mug, the world's best uncle mug the kids had given him last Christmas, and swabbed the rim with a cotton swab I'd kept aside. My hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped, replaced by something colder. The lab offered expedited processing for an additional fee. I paid it. 3 days later, the confirmation came. I didn't need to read past the summary. Michael Patterson, 99.97% probability of biological relationship to samples 002, 003, and 004. All 3 tests showed the same alternate father, Mike. My best friend since college, the guy who'd held my bachelor party, who'd been there when my dad died, who'd helped me practice my wedding vows until they were perfect. Mike was the biological father of all 3 of my children. I printed everything. The original results, Mike's match, even the email timestamps. The papers felt substantial in my hands, weighted with truth. I made 3 copies, placed one set in a safety deposit box, another in my office safe. The third I kept with me, folded in my jacket pocket like a loaded weapon. The divorce attorney's name was Margaret Chen, came highly recommended. Her office smelled like leather and old books, the kind of place where lives got dissected and redistributed. She read through the results twice, her expression never changing. How long have you suspected? 2 weeks since the blood type thing. And before that, any signs? I thought about it, really thought. Business trips, book clubs, late meetings, nothing that seemed suspicious on its own. It never does. She pulled out a legal pad, began writing. Illinois is a no-fault state, but infidelity can impact asset division. These DNA results, this level of deception, judges take notice. The duration suggests premeditation. 20 years, I said, maybe the whole marriage. We'll need more evidence, financial records, communications, anything that establishes pattern and timeline. She slid a card across her desk. Private investigator, very discreet, very thorough. I want to confront them first, record it. Margaret nodded, pulled out a small device from her drawer. Illinois is a 2-party consent state for recordings, unless you're in a public space with no expectation of privacy. Restaurants work, security cameras everywhere these days. She showed me how to use the device, smaller than a car key. Get them talking, admissions of guilt, timeline, especially anything about knowledge and intent. Juries, if it goes there, respond to emotional evidence. I scheduled dinner for 3 at our favorite restaurant. Giovanni's had been our place for 20 years. First date, engagement, every anniversary. The manager knew us by name, always gave us the corner booth. I arrived early, placed the recording device in my shirt pocket, visible but innocuous. The security camera dome hung directly overhead, its red light blinking steadily. Sarah arrived first, dressed nicely, smiling. "This is a nice surprise. What's the occasion?" "Just wanted to talk. Mike's coming too." Her smile flickered. "Oh, why..." Mike walked in then, all grins and backslaps. "Free dinner? I'm in." He slid into the booth beside Sarah, not across from her, beside her. How had I never noticed that before? The waiter brought wine, red, Sarah's favorite. I waited until they'd both had a sip before pulling the envelope from my jacket, the one with the DNA results. I set it on the table between the breadbasket and the olive oil, let it sit there like an uninvited guest. "What's that?" Sarah's voice had changed, higher, tighter. "Open it." She looked at Mike first. That's when I knew she knew what it was. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out the papers. Mike leaned over to read, their shoulders touching. The restaurant noise faded to white static as they read. A full minute passed. The waiter approached, saw our faces, retreated. Sarah spoke first. "How dare you test our children without..." "My children, supposedly. You had no right..." "Read page 3. She flipped to Mike's results. The color drained from her face like someone pulled a plug. Mike's hand moved toward hers under the table. I watched it happen, this instinctive reach for comfort between them. "How long?" I asked. Silence. "How long?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Not guilty tears, not sorry tears, angry tears. "You want to know? You really want to know? Since college. Before I met you, Mike and I were together first." The words hit like physical blows. "Then why..." "He wasn't ready. Said he wasn't the marrying type. Then you came along, sweet, stable, ready to commit. And I thought I could love you. I did love you. Just not as much as him." She didn't deny it. The tears fell now, real ones, streaking her makeup. The waiter definitely wasn't coming back. "And the kids?" Mike finally spoke, his voice rough. "We tried to stop. After your wedding, we stopped. For 3 years, we stopped. Until Tommy. I was drunk. Sarah was, we were both at that conference. You were sick, and I was supposed to be in Detroit, but the client canceled, and Emma, Katie, were those drunk mistakes too?" Sarah wiped her eyes with the cloth napkin, leaving mascara smears. "No, those were choices." "Choices?" I let the word hang there. 20 years of choices, every birthday, every Christmas, every Father's Day, you both knew. She said Mike was the love of her life. Just like that. No apology, no justification. Just fact, delivered in the same tone she'd used to say the sky was blue. "I tried to love you the way I loved him," she continued, the restaurant's ambient lighting making her tears sparkle. "But you can't choose who you love. You just can't. You chose to marry me. You chose to have me raise his children. They're your children too. You're the one who taught them to ride bikes, who reads to them, who pays for everything while Uncle Mike gets to be the fun weekend guy." Mike's face flushed. "That's not... I never wanted..." "What did you want, Mike? My wife? My life? Check and check." Other diners were staring now. The manager hovered near the kitchen door, unsure whether to intervene. Mike stood up, then sat back down, his hands clenched. "I loved her first," he said quietly. "And before you ever met her, I loved her. And when you introduced us, when you were so excited about this girl from your economics class, she was my Sarah, the one I'd let go. So you took her back, while being my best man, while being their godfather. We tried to stop. God, we tried. But then Tommy happened, and once he was here, once that line was crossed, what was the point of stopping? He knew. He'd known every single time. Every time he'd thrown a ball with Tommy. Every time he'd attended Emma's recitals, every time he'd carried Katie on his shoulders, he knew they were his. And he'd smiled at me, called me a lucky man, pretended to be the supportive friend. The mug, I said suddenly. The kids gave you that mug. World's best uncle. Did you laugh? When they gave it to you, did you laugh at the irony? Mike couldn't meet my eyes. I never laughed. I love those kids. Your kids. Your kids. You're their father. Biology don't. I stood up, dropped cash on the table for the wine. Don't you dare tell me about biology. Not you. Not now. Sarah grabbed my wrist. What are you going to do? What I should have done if you'd had the decency to tell me truth 20 years ago. Divorce, custody arrangements, the works. You can't take my children. Legally, they're mine. My name on every birth certificate, every school form, every medical document, 18 years of established paternity. Margaret Chen, that's my lawyer. She says judges don't overturn that lightly. Sarah's grip tightened. Please, they don't know. The kids don't know. And whose fault is that? I pulled free and walked out, leaving them in that booth where we'd celebrated so many anniversaries. The recording device had caught everything. The security camera, too. Margaret would be pleased. At home, the kids were with the babysitter, a neighbor's daughter who smiled too brightly when I walked in. They were perfect angels, Mr. Davidson. They always are. After she left, I sat in the living room, watching them do homework. Tommy struggled with algebra. Emma practiced violin. Katie colored outside the lines, tongue poking out in concentration. How do you tell children their whole life is a lie? How do you protect them from the truth while drowning in it yourself? What would you do? Forgive or fight? That night, I met Mike at his apartment. No restaurant this time. Just us, 2 beers, and 20 years of friendship turning to ash. His place looked the same as always. Bachelor neat, sports memorabilia, the photo from our college graduation on the mantle. Remember this? He held up the photo. We were going to conquer the world. You conquered my world, apparently. He set the photo down carefully. I know you hate me. You should. But I need you to know it was never about hurting you. Impact versus intent, Mike. You learned that in law school. I loved her, love her, present tense. And those kids, you could have had your own kids, your own wife. I didn't want my own. I wanted her. And then they were here, and you were such a good father, better than I could have been. You don't get to compliment my parenting, not anymore. Mike walked to his window, looked out at the city lights. I watched you with them. Every soccer game, every school play. You never missed anything. I told myself it was better this way. They got you as a dad, stable, present, devoted. And they got my genetics, I guess. Your genetics. I laughed, bitter as black coffee. Tommy has your eyes. I never saw it before, but now I can't unsee it. Emma has your stubborn streak, and Katie. Katie has your laugh. I know. I've known every single time. The childhood photo on his bookshelf caught my eye. Us at summer camp, maybe 12 years old, arms slung around each other's shoulders, brothers in everything but blood. 40 years of friendship, and it all meant nothing. Was any of it real? Our friendship? He turned from the window. All of it was real. That's what made it so hard. You're my best friend. You've always been my best friend. And I betrayed you every single day for 20 years. Then why? Because I'm weak. Because I'm selfish. Because watching the woman I love with my best friend was killing me. And the only way I could survive was to participate. Participate, that's what you call it. What do you want me to call it? An affair, adultery, betrayal, all true, all inadequate. I stood to leave. There was nothing left to say. At the door, Mike called out, "What about the kids? What are you going to tell them?" The truth, eventually, age-appropriately, with therapists. They'll hate us. No, they'll hate you and Sarah. I'll be the father who stayed. The family therapist's name was Dr. Williams, soft-spoken, gray-haired, office full of children's drawings and stress toys. She listened to the whole story without interrupting, occasionally taking notes. This is unusual, but not unprecedented. The children's well-being has to come first. That's why I'm here. They're going to have questions, confusion, anger, possibly guilt, thinking they somehow caused this. How do I prevent that? Constant reassurance, clear messaging that adult problems aren't their fault, and most importantly, demonstrating that your love for them hasn't changed. It hasn't. If anything, I look at them now, and they're more precious because they're chosen. I choose to be their father. Dr. Williams smiled softly. That's beautiful. Hold on to that. You'll need it. The conversation happened on a Sunday, pizza night, their favorite. I'd practiced with Dr. Williams, rehearsed the words until they felt natural. After dinner, while Katie was still licking tomato sauce off her fingers, I turned off the TV. Family meeting. Tommy groaned. Are we in trouble? Nobody's in trouble. But Mom and we need to live in different houses for a while. Emma's violin bow, which she'd been absently holding, clattered to the floor. You're getting divorced? We're figuring things out, but I need you all to know something. Ready? This is important. 3 pairs of eyes, not my eyes I now knew, but eyes I'd watched grow from infant blur to childhood clarity, focused on me. I will always be your dad, no matter what. No matter where we live, who gets angry, what changes, I'm your dad forever. Katie climbed into my lap. But why can't you and Mommy just say sorry? Sometimes grown-up problems are too big for sorry. Is it about Uncle Mike? Emma asked, too perceptive as always. The room went silent except for Katie's sniffling. Dad, you'll always be our real father, right? Emma's question hung in the air like suspended breath. Is it about Uncle Mike? It's about grown-ups making complicated choices, I said carefully, but you don't need to worry about that. He's not really our uncle, is he? Emma's voice was small, fragile as spun glass. Dr. Williams had prepared me for this. Children know more than we think. They sense the tremors before the earthquake hits. He's someone who loves you very much, but right now we're focusing on our family, you 3 and me. And Mommy? Katie asked from my lap. Mommy loves you too. That won't change. But everything else would. The custody hearing was set for Tuesday morning. Margaret Chen had filed emergency papers citing deception and requesting primary custody. The courthouse smelled like floor wax and fear, every footstep echoing in marble corridors. Sarah arrived with her lawyer, a sharp-faced man in a $1,000 suit. Mike wasn't there. Margaret had made sure he couldn't be, given his status as involved party. Judge Patricia Thornton presided, reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviewed the documents, the DNA results, 18 years of receipts, every baseball registration, every dance class payment, every medical bill I'd paid while Mike played weekend uncle. Sarah's lawyer argued biology shouldn't matter after established paternity. Margaret countered with the deliberate, sustained deception. Your Honor, Margaret said, standing with perfect posture, my client has been the sole consistent parental figure. Every school conference, every doctor's appointment, every 2 a.m. fever, Mr. Davidson was there. The respondent and Mr. Patterson created these children through deception, but Mr. Davidson created their childhood through devotion. The judge looked at me. Mr. Davidson, you're seeking primary custody despite having no biological relationship to these children. Your Honor, I have every relationship that matters. I taught Tommy to tie his shoes using the bunny ear method because he's left-handed like me, not biologically, just coincidentally. I know Emma needs exactly 3 ice cubes in her apple juice, never 4. I know Katie is afraid of butterflies, but pretends she isn't. Biology didn't teach me those things. Love did. And you believe the children's best interests are served by limiting their mother's custody? I believe their best interests are served by stability and honesty. Their mother has provided neither. Sarah's lawyer objected, but Judge Thornton waved him quiet. She studied the evidence again, photos from school events where I stood alone, Sarah mysteriously absent. Coaching rosters with my name. 20 years of Father's Day cards addressed only to me. Mrs. Davidson, the judge said, do you dispute that you've maintained a 20-year relationship with Mr. Patterson? No, Your Honor. And that all 3 children are biologically his? That's correct. And that you concealed this from your husband? Sarah's voice cracked. I thought it was best for everyone. Best for whom, exactly? The silence stretched until the court reporter looked up from her keys. The judge said biology isn't everything. However, Judge Thornton continued, deliberate deception of this magnitude cannot be ignored. Mr. Davidson has been the de facto primary caregiver, evidenced by this extensive documentation. I'm granting temporary primary custody to Mr. Davidson with supervised visitation for Mrs. Davidson pending final divorce proceedings. Mr. Patterson is to have no contact with the children until psychological evaluations are complete. The gavel came down with finality that echoed through the courtroom. Outside, Sarah caught my arm. You're destroying them. They need their mother. They need honesty. They need stability. They need to know that when someone says, I love you, it isn't conditional on DNA. This isn't over. No, it's just beginning. Word travels fast in suburbs. The same speed that spreads news of snow days and Little League victories now carried the story of the Davidsons' spectacular destruction. I knew because of the looks at school pickup, the suddenly busy neighbors who couldn't chat, the way conversation stopped when I entered the coffee shop, but also the unexpected support. Mrs. Chen from 2 doors down brought lasagna. My husband had an affair, she said simply. Not the same, but I understand choosing the children. Coach Roberts pulled me aside at Tommy's practice. Heard about the situation. Want you to know Tommy's still our star pitcher. Biology doesn't throw fastballs. Practice does. The school principal called me in. We need to update emergency contact information. I assume Mike Patterson should be removed? Yes, immediately. Done. And Mr. Davidson? Emma's teacher mentioned she's been quiet. We have counselors available. We're seeing someone, but thank you. The real surprise came from Mike's parents. Dan and Patricia Patterson, who'd been like second parents to me since college, showed up at my door on a Thursday evening. Patricia held a casserole dish, their family's famous enchiladas. We know, Dan said simply. Mike told us everything. I stood in the doorway, unsure whether to invite them in. We're ashamed, Patricia said, tears streaming. We raised him better. You deserved better. Those children deserve better. It's not your fault. Can we see them? The kids? We understand if not, but we've been their grandparents in everything but name, and they're at Sarah's. Supervised visitation. Patricia nodded, handed me the casserole. We want you to know, if this goes to court, really goes to court, we'll testify. For you. Mike is our son, but what he did was unforgivable. Even Mike's parents chose my side. The group chat with our mutual friends exploded when the news broke. 20 years of shared friendship suddenly forced to pick sides. Most chose silence. Some chose Sarah, citing mistakes happen, and the heart wants what it wants. But a core group reached out to me. Poker's still Fridays, texted James. Your house or mine? Running club Sunday morning, from Alex. Your pace, your route. My sister's a realtor, offered Marcus. If you need to find a new place. A new place. The house felt haunted now, every room containing ghosts of a marriage that maybe never existed. I found an apartment closer to the kids' schools, 3 bedrooms, 2nd floor, good light. The lease started immediately. The kids would decorate their rooms however they wanted. Fresh start. Moving day, Tommy helped carry boxes. Dad, why does Mom cry all the time now? She's sad about the changes. Are you sad? Sometimes, but mostly I'm focused on making sure you three are okay. We're okay if you're okay. Then we're all okay. Emma organized the kitchen, labeling shelves with her label maker. Katie chose paint colors. Purple for her room, obviously. The apartment filled with their noise, their stuff, their presence. It felt more like home in a week than the house had felt in months. Then my daughter asked about dating DNA tests. Emma stood in the kitchen, holding her phone. My friend Sophia says her sister makes all her boyfriends take DNA tests now because of stories like ours. Emma, I'm never getting married. Sweetheart, not everyone. How do you trust anyone? How do you know if someone's lying? I pulled her into a hug, this too wise 12-year-old who'd inherited someone else's skepticism along with their DNA. You trust carefully. You trust with your eyes open. And you remember that for every person who betrays trust, there are dozens who honor it. Coach Roberts, Mrs. Chen, your teachers, Dr. Williams, me. You got betrayed worst of all. No, I got you 3. That's not betrayal. That's a gift. She squeezed tighter. We picked good, didn't we, for a dad? I picked good too. The custody arrangement solidified over months. Weekdays with me, alternate weekends with Sarah, supervised by her mother initially, then graduating to unsupervised. Mike's psychological evaluation recommended gradual introduction after 6 months of therapy. The kids weren't ready, neither was I. Sarah fought for more time, claiming parental alienation. Margaret countered with documentation. Sarah had missed 60% of school events, 70% of medical appointments, 80% of extracurriculars. The pattern was clear and damning. She was busy with Mike, I told Margaret. All those book clubs, wine nights, conferences, Mike. The judge sees it. Trust the process. The final divorce hearing came in October, leaves falling like burnt orange confetti outside the courthouse windows. Asset division, custody finalization, the legal untangling of 20 years. Sarah got the house. I didn't want it. I got the kids. She didn't fight it by then. The college funds I'd built stayed with me for their education. The rest split down the middle, mathematics dividing a life. Sarah approached me after, papers signed, marriage officially ended. I did love you, she said, in my way. Your way wasn't enough. I know, but thank you for loving them, for continuing to love them. I don't love them for you. I love them for them, and for me. She nodded, walked away in her heels clicking on marble. The last time I saw her at the courthouse. Tommy made the high school baseball team that spring. Pitcher like he'd always dreamed. The first game, I sat in the bleachers with my foam finger and embarrassing enthusiasm. Emma and Katie flanked me, Katie wearing Tommy's jersey from last year, swimming in it. Bottom of the 9th, Tommy on the mound. 2 outs, bases loaded. The count went full. I could see his concentration, the way he rubbed the ball with his thumb, a nervous habit I'd tried to coach out of him. The wind-up, the release, the ball flying true, strike 3, game over, victory. Tommy's teammates mobbed him. In the stands, other parents congratulated me. He's got a hell of an arm, said one father. He gets it from... I stopped. Old habit. He worked hard for it. After the game, Tommy found me in the parking lot. Did you see the last pitch? Saw it all, buddy. Every second. Mom wasn't there. I know. Mike, he wasn't either. I know. You were there. Always will be. He hugged me, sweaty and gross and perfect. My son in every way that mattered. Katie's kindergarten graduation came next. Tiny humans in tiny caps and gowns, singing off-key about the future. She spotted me immediately, waving with her whole body. The teacher had to redirect her twice to pay attention. When they called her name for her diploma, she ran to me first, not the stage. Daddy, did you see? I'm graduated. Graduating, baby. And yes, I saw everything. She wore that cap for 3 days straight, sleeping in it, eating in it, until it fell apart. Emma's violin recital was the following week. She'd chosen a difficult piece, Bach, something with multiple movements and technical challenges. She practiced until her fingers had calluses, until I could hum the piece in my sleep. The night of the performance, she threw up twice from nerves. I can't do it. Too many people. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, and you keep playing. That's what we do. We keep playing. She nodded, straightened her dress, walked onto that stage like she owned it. The piece was flawless. Not technically, she missed a note in the second movement, but emotionally perfect. The audience erupted. I might have cried. Tommy definitely saw and would mock me later. Backstage, Emma found me. I kept playing. You did. Like you did. When everything messed up, you kept playing. We both did. Share your chosen family story below. Summer arrived with its promise of barbecues and fireflies. The apartment complex had a pool. The kids made friends with neighbors. Normal rhythms established themselves. Tuesday taco nights, Thursday homework club, Saturday morning cartoons. Yes, even Tommy still watched. One evening, sorting through old boxes I'd avoided, I found our wedding album. Sarah, radiant in white. Me, young and hopeful. Mike, standing as best man, smiling at the camera. Or was he smiling at Sarah? Katie found me looking at it. Is that mommy? Yeah, baby. She looks pretty. She is. Are you sad? No, just remembering. Remember forward instead. What? Remember forward. Like remember when we go to Disney next month. Remember when Tommy teaches me baseball. Remember when you'll dance at my wedding. 5-year-old wisdom. Remember forward. I closed the album, put it in the donation box. Someone else might want a wedding album, even one with a complicated story. The DNA reports, the ones that started everything, I kept in a safety deposit box. Not as weapons anymore, but as reminders. That biology is just data. That love is choice. That fathers are made, not born. Father's Day arrived with handmade cards and breakfast in bed. Burnt toast, runny eggs, perfect coffee. Emma made that part. Tommy gave me new baseball gloves so we can practice together. Emma wrote a song on her violin. Katie painted a picture of our family, 4 figures holding hands, the tallest labeled Dad in purple crayon. The card from all 3 read, any man can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad. Inside Emma's careful handwriting, biology makes a father, love makes a dad. Thanks for choosing us. Thank you, I said, voice thick, for choosing me back. We spent the day at the lake. Tommy tried teaching Katie to skip stones. She just threw them as far as her little arm could manage. Emma read under an umbrella, occasionally calling out facts about aquatic ecosystems. I grilled hot dogs badly, and everyone complained while eating seconds. As the sun set, painting the water gold and pink, Katie fell asleep against my shoulder. Emma and Tommy argued about constellation names, normal, peaceful family. Dad? Tommy said quietly. I know about Mike, about everything. My chest tightened. Tommy? Mom told me, not on purpose. She was crying and it came out. I'm sorry, we wanted to tell you properly. With Dr. Williams, it doesn't matter. Tommy, no, I mean it. It doesn't matter. You showed up. Every practice, every game, every bad dream, every math test, you showed up. That's what matters. Emma looked up from her book. We all know, Dad. Katie doesn't understand yet, but she knows something, and we talked about it. You did? We decided, Emma said, her voice steady as a judge, that we already have a dad. We don't need another one. But if you want to know Mike, maybe someday, Tommy said, when we're ready, if we're ready. But not as a dad. We have one of those. The sun dipped below the horizon, the first stars appearing. Katie stirred, mumbled something about ice cream, fell back asleep. My children, my chosen, deciding, wonderful children, settled into the gathering darkness with me. Love you, Dad. Emma said quietly. Love you too, Dad, Tommy echoed. Katie, mostly asleep, murmured, Love Daddy. Biology makes a father, love makes a dad, and I would always be their dad. The apartment felt full that night, full of future, of possibility, of family redefined. The kids sprawled in the living room for movie night, arguing over popcorn distribution and movie selection. I watched them from the kitchen, these three people who shared none of my DNA but all of my heart. My phone buzzed, Sarah asking about school supply lists. Mike had tried calling twice this week. I hadn't answered. Their lives continued elsewhere, in a house I no longer entered with truths they'd have to face. But here, in this apartment with its mismatched furniture and too small bathroom and perfect amount of love, we were complete. Katie's art from school covered the refrigerator, stick figures holding hands under enormous suns. Emma's honor roll certificates lined the hallway. Tommy's team photo sat on the mantel, him grinning with his glove raised in victory. Evidence of lives being lived, childhoods being cherished, family being chosen daily. I thought about that day in the pediatrician's office when a casual comment about blood types started an avalanche. The destruction had been total. Marriage, friendship, every assumption about my life. But from that destruction, something truer emerged. Not a family bound by secrets and DNA, but one built on presence, choice, and the radical act of showing up. The movie started, something with too many explosions that Tommy loved. Katie climbed into my lap, already half asleep again. Emma curled against my other side, pretending she wasn't too old for cuddles. Tommy sat close enough that our shoulders touched. Dad, Katie murmured, Yeah, baby. We don't leave. What? Our family. We don't leave. We stay. The motif I'd been searching for, delivered by a 5-year-old in dinosaur pajamas. We don't leave. Despite betrayal, despite DNA, despite everything, we don't leave. No, baby. I whispered into her hair that smelled like strawberry shampoo. We don't leave. The credits rolled on a movie none of us really watched. The kids dozed in a pile of limbs and contentment. Outside, the world continued with its complications and betrayals. But inside, in this chosen space with these chosen people, we were exactly where we belonged. A family portrait sat on the end table. The 4 of us at the lake last month, sunburned and laughing. The photographer had said we had the same smile, all 4 of us. Impossible, genetically. True, absolutely. Biology makes a father, but love makes a dad. And I would always be, completely and entirely their dad.